Ezra Holloway woke to the certainty that someone was in his apartment, not the vague sense of unease from a bad dream, but the crystal clear awareness of being watched. His eyes snapped open to darkness, his hand already reaching for the tactical flashlight on his nightstand when a voice stopped him cold. The figure in his doorway was backlit by the hallway nightlight, and for one surreal moment Ezra thought his neighbor's kid was playing a prank. Then the moonlight from his window caught her profile, and his brain short-circuited. Long ears swept back from her temples, trembling slightly. Skin that should have had an opalescent shimmer now gleamed with something dark and oily. She was Kael'thir alien, and she was in his bedroom at 2:47 a.m., looking like she'd crawled through a nightmare. She swayed on her feet, one hand braced against the doorframe, her formal robes torn and the bioluminescent patterns dead and dark. "Can you please clean me, human?" The words came out carefully enunciated but shaking. "I cannot return to my delegation like this. They will know I left. They will know I tried to run." Ezra's paramedic training kicked in before his common sense could object. He threw off his blankets, crossed the room, and caught her elbow as she started to collapse. The substance coating her skin felt slick and wrong, and up close he could see angry red patches blooming across her arms. "Okay, okay, I've got you. What is this stuff? Are you hurt?" He guided her toward his bathroom, flipping on lights with his elbow. "Oxidized coolant from your old infrastructure, the tunnels beneath the embassy." She leaned heavily against him, her skin radiating heat through the oily coating. "Toxic to my biology. I did not think, I just needed to escape." "Escape from what?" "You're part of the diplomatic summit. You're supposed to be." Ezra stopped himself, focusing. "Questions later, treatment now. Sit. Don't touch anything else until I can assess the damage." She lowered herself onto the edge of his bathtub with a grace that even exhaustion couldn't erase. "You are Ezra Holloway, paramedic, emergency response specialist. You have a 97% survival rate among critical patients. You've been reading my file. I chose you specifically." Her ears drooped. "I needed someone who helps people, really helps them. Not because they are paid or obligated, but because," she trailed off, looking at her stained hands. "I needed to know if humans truly possess compassion without transaction." Ezra stared at her, at this alien woman covered in toxic sludge in his bathroom at 3 in the morning, asking the kind of philosophical question that belonged in university seminars, not medical emergencies. Then he noticed her breathing had gone shallow, and philosophy could wait. The next hour existed in a strange bubble of professionalism and intimacy that Ezra's training had never quite prepared him for. He worked carefully, rinsing away the oxidized coolant with lukewarm water, while trying not to think about the fact that he was performing first aid on an extraterrestrial in his bathtub at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Marin, she'd given her name between sharp intakes of breath as he cleaned a particularly bad burn, explained in fragments: the integration treaty, the cultural exchange program. Her assignment to a faction within the Kael'thir delegation that saw humans as useful primitives with interesting technology. "They sent us to map your world," she said as Ezra applied a gentle antibiotic cream. "Not for friendship. For contingency, in case we need your resources. Your cities are marked as assets, your infrastructure cataloged for theoretical acquisition." Ezra's hands stilled. "You're telling me the diplomatic summit is cover for an invasion assessment?" "Not invasion, acquisition. Different word in Kael'thir, more polite." Her laugh came out bitter. "I volunteered thinking I would build bridges between our people. Instead, I have been documenting your vulnerabilities for 3 months. Tonight I could not, I had to leave, even if it meant," she broke off as another wave of pain hit. Ezra gently guided her to rinse again, his mind racing. "Why come to me? You've got to have allies in your delegation, people who think like you." Marin's ears flattened against her head. "My people do not have a word for what you would call compassion without reciprocity. Everything is transaction, social contract, mutual obligation." "But I studied human behavior patterns, read emergency response reports." She met his eyes, and even through the pain, there was something searching in her gaze. "You once spent 4 hours in the rain talking to a man on a bridge. Then you bought him breakfast at an all-night diner. The report said you were off duty. No obligation, no payment. You helped because he needed help." He was going to jump, Ezra said quietly. "I couldn't just walk away." "Exactly, you could have, but you did not." Her skin was cycling through colors now that the coolant was mostly gone. "I needed to know if that was real. If humans truly help even when it costs them, even for strangers. My people cannot comprehend this." Ezra sat back on his heels, studying this alien woman in his bathtub, vulnerable and honest and asking questions that cut straight to what made humanity human. "Yeah," he said finally, "it's real. We're not perfect at it, and plenty of people are selfish bastards, but yeah, we help, sometimes just because someone needs it." The smile that crossed Marin's face was worth every moment of this bizarre night. They talked until dawn, Ezra monitoring her vital signs while Marin slowly recovered on his couch, wrapped in his least embarrassing blanket. She told him about Kael'thir empathic networks, how everyone always knew what everyone else expected, how individuality was considered inefficient. How she'd always felt broken for wanting to make choices based on feeling rather than collective benefit. Ezra shared his own isolation, how being a paramedic meant constantly helping people at their worst, then never seeing them again, how he sometimes felt more like a tool than a person. How he'd chosen this work anyway because those moments when he actually saved someone made everything else worthwhile. We are both lonely, Marin observed, her ears perking up slightly, but in opposite ways. I am lonely within a collective. You are lonely within your individuality. That's depressingly accurate, Ezra said, then caught her expression. Was that funny? I can't tell if you're finding this amusing or having an existential crisis. Both. Your language is imprecise, but she made a sound that might have been laughter. As the sky outside began to lighten, Marin stood carefully, testing her balance. The burns had faded to pale marks, and her skin had returned to that gentle opalescent shimmer. She looked like herself again, except for the weight in her eyes. I need to return before my absence triggers security protocols, she said, but I need you to know I am going to file an official report about the acquisition mapping. About what my faction is planning, her ears trembled. It will end my diplomatic career, possibly get me sent back to Kael'th in disgrace, but you showed me that helping someone does not require transaction or benefit. Perhaps if I do this, someone else will learn that too. You're risking everything, Ezra said. Yes, but you risked hypothermia for a stranger on a bridge. How is this different? She moved to his window and paused. From her torn robes, she produced something that looked like a crystal, no bigger than a marble, and pressed it into his hand. Communication device, in case you need me. Her skin flushed that rose copper color. Or in case I need reminding that compassion is real. Then she was gone, slipping through the window with alien grace just as the sun broke over the city skyline. Ezra stood there holding the crystal, wondering if he'd just changed the course of interstellar relations or simply helped one person who needed it. 3 days later, every news channel exploded with the story about a Kael'thir diplomat exposing a resource mapping scheme. Ezra watched the footage of Marin standing before councils, her ears high and defiant, speaking truth regardless of cost. His crystal pulsed with a message that translated as "Thank you for cleaning more than just coolant off my skin. You helped me remember who I wanted to be." He smiled,